Hello, pro wrestling fans, family, and friends. Welcome to a brand new episode of the No Cell Roundtable. I am your host, Joe Monroe, and we got a pretty big roundtable tonight, and I got to introduce them. So, this first one I have to legally introduce. God forbid I get sued by Shane Romines. First and foremost, folks, let me introduce representing Tel 5 Wrestling, coming off a BS whatever my former co-host Dave did for his suspension. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Just Tan Credible. Just Tan. What's up, buddy? How are
I'm
you?
back. Good to see you, Joe. You had to bring up Dave right at the top of the show, didn't we?
I'm sorry. How's your search for Dave going?
Not so well so far, Joe, to be honest with you. We've narrowed it down to a few people, and that will be unveiled at a later date. But right now we're working on piecing together this conspiracy of Dave, because this shit has to end.
Well, like
soon.
I said, we are more than willing to help you. All you got to do is reach out to us, and we'll give you any and all information we have on Dave.
Okay.
So,
all right,
so before you get a little more upset, I do have some great news. Not only do we have some newcomers tonight, we also got some familiar faces.
Amazing.
Which the very first one I want to bring up, ladies and gentlemen, coming back from a successful surgery. I went down to Knoxville and I refound the bear, and you know who I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Ric Flair of podcasting, Professor Bear himself is back.
Thank you guys. Glad to be back. I missed y'all.
Yes, we missed you too. How are you doing, brother?
I'm actually doing pretty well. Considering I've been walking without my walker for a week now, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Well, another reason to call you the Ric Flair Pro Wrestling, you're going to heal up quick in no time.
That's right.
It looks like Indie Talk with Jesse and Jerry. Hey, guys, how are you doing? Good to see you all in here. Well, another familiar face I want to bring in. He's a independent wrestling star. He is someone that you don't want to get chopped by, apparently, I guess. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the one, the only. People love to boo him and people love to cheer him. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about James Kendrick.
How you guys doing? How you guys doing?
Good to see you, James.
Good to see you again. So what have you been up to, sir?
Work. Just
All
work.
Right. Well, gentlemen, I have a new face here tonight. He is a TikTok star. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll probably recognize him from TikTok. He does wrestling reviews and other things. Folks, I am talking about my good friend, Plogo. Plogo, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good. Thanks for having me. Told me it's TikTok star. Makes me feel good.
Well, I mean, yeah, you are a TikTok star in our eyes, man. Come on.
Try to be.
Killing it over there. You're killing it more than Tel 5 Wrestling, so you're doing great.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
What a shot.
Hey, listen,
don't even have an episode out yet. Right? We're beating a certain British company.
Oh, don't you mean someone that may cause some mayhem?
Someone that may cause a little bit of mayhem. Yeah, for sure.
Well, before we start having mayhem here on the show, ladies and gentlemen, we need to shout out some sponsors. First and foremost, we want to shout out Phenomenal Finds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, check out phenomenalfindsatl.com. They may have it. Also, Charms Photos, Crystal, the lovely lady who takes pictures of pro wrestling action and promo photos. I mean, seriously, how has her camera not broken taking pictures of my ugly mug? I don't know, but something I want to drop here tonight. Everybody's like, well, what's an example of Charms Photos? Well, I mean, right here, James, loves this photo to death, chopping the soul out of Adrian Alexander. This photo right here was actually entered into the Kentucky State Fair. It should have place in my mind, but alas, it did not. We blame the Kentucky State Fair Committee for that. I guess they don't like violence too much. We also want to shout out Les Murphy Painting. If you're having trouble with any painting needs, contact Les Murphy at 334-3702. Also, shout out to Red 8 Graphics by Crander Q. That's right, Crander Q from Friends of the Squared Circle. He makes graphics for everybody. So if you're having some trouble with graphics or just want graphics made, hit up Crander Q with Red 8 Graphics. He will help you out. Gentlemen, we are continuing on our pilgrimage with ECW, and this is something Tanner actually brought to the table. He goes, Joe, where's the love for ECW tag team wrestling? Nobody talks about tag team wrestling in ECW. So I'm like, what the heck? We'll make a show about it for the round table. So we'll get right into it. It looks like Kirkpatrick's in the house, the second best mullet in professional wrestling. How you doing, Kirk? And it looks like Crystal's also in the house. Hey, Crystal, how are you doing? I'm really surprised James ain't breaking the internet with his ugly mug. I'm sorry.
I try.
You try. You must love that photo so much. You even have that right behind you. Is that like one of your most prized possessions?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Poor Adrian Alexander. I feel bad for the guy. All right. As I stated earlier, we're talking about ECW tag teams. So we're going to get right into it. The first question I have, gentlemen, who are your favorite unknown tag teams in ECW? Me personally is actually the men in the photo here, Tanaka and Balls Mahoney. Not many people knew they won the tag titles. They were a short little bit of a tag team, but they were great. Who would you guys shout out? Who do you think? Justin, we'll go for you first.
This, to me, who I'm about to mention is the most underrated tag team, maybe not only in ECW, but maybe one of the most underrated tag teams of all time. And I'm talking about Can-Am Express, Crawford and LaFon. I mean, those guys were awesome. They really didn't get any love anywhere they went except for Japan. And they deserved a lot more. I mean, they bounced around in the late 90s. They had some killer matches in ECW in the late 90s.
I'm going to call, get my feet up because it's crap's getting deep here. All right, Professor Bear, who would you say is one of the most unknown tag teams of ECW?
Funny enough, I'm going with Just Credible. They were so underrated. I mean, everywhere they went, they caused havoc, but nobody seemed to want to give them the proper shine. Man, especially in ECW, they tore it up. Never got the tag titles, but feuded with all the great tag teams, and nobody even remembers them in the company.
All right, that's a fair point. All right, James, you're an ECW nut. Who would you say? Unknown.
They took my answer.
What the heck?
It's between Can-Am Express or say Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio.
All right, there's one that I'm very surprised nobody said yet.
So, I mean, but my heart's with Furnace and Lafayette. So,
I swear to goodness. All right, Plogo, you're new. You're the new blood here.
Oh,
who would you say, sir?
That's pressure, right? It's pressure. Like, I'm sitting here doing research and going, like, I don't remember Just Incredible and Lance Storm winning ECW tag titles. And then I'm thinking, like, well, those are super big names, so it's kind of hard to be, like, unknown, right? But then I have to think about it. If you were to talk about the lineage of the ECW tag titles, it'd been a while before you're like Just Incredible and Lance Storm, the Impact players, in my opinion.
No, you got a good point. I think we'll get into that here in just a moment. But
no, Too Cold Scorpio and the Sandman won the tag titles once too.
Oh yeah,
this lineage is wild. This is wild.
That was early ECW too.
So my answer might be people you know, but I'm just like, you can't. I don't remember those tag runs.
Which all of them should. They all should be remembered.
For sure.
So let's go ahead. Let's get into something that may take a while to answer. So let's go on to the next graphic, which is who is the top 5 ECW champions? I mean, my number one's right there in the graphic, the Eliminators. Hands down, the Eliminators, I believe, are overlooked, but they are definitely number one in top 5 champions. Number 2 have to be the Dudleys. 3, I would put Impact Players. 4, I would have to say RVD and Sabu. 5, 5's a toss-up. I mean, can I say Tommy Dreamer and Raven?
Say
I don't
whatever
know.
you want. Your name's on the show.
That's true. But let's see with someone who would probably argue with me on some of that. Just Tan. I gotta forget the Tan. Credible.
It's
would you
hard
say?
to get a top 5, to be honest with you, but I'm going to do it in no particular order. I've got to start off by talking about the Dudley Boys. Everybody's going to talk about the Dudley Boys. One that you didn't mention, Joe, that I really enjoyed was the Gangstas.
Oh,
Really awesome. Another one is the FBI, Tracy Smothers and Little Guido incarnation. Is the way to go there.
Hey, don't forget Tommy Rich.
Hey, that's right. And
Or
then
Tracy Smothers.
for the other 2, I'm going to have to definitely go with the Eliminators. Big fan of them. And then we'll go the Impact Players.
All right, let's see. Pluggo, we'll go with you next, sir. Who would you say is top 5 champions?
Well, I think this is no shock to anybody, but I think it starts and ends with the Dudley Boys at one, right? Like the impact that they had not only in ECW, but then translate. Like I don't think we get SummerSlam 2000 and that TLC match without the Dudley Boys' success in ECW, right? And showing that you can have that style translate. The Gangstas, like Justin Incredible said, absolutely love New Jack. This was a little off the beaten path. This is more of a personal one for me, but Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck. Because I love me some Cactus Jacks and Mankind, as you can see. And then, of course, just who doesn't love themselves, Mikey Whipwreck. FBI is on my list as well. And I wrote down as I'm looking through my notes because I'm a crazy person. Sorry, I'm not the best at this. I lost it because my phone, I don't know, Sabu and Rob Van Dam. Sorry, I should have just known that off the top of my head. What a better team.
No,
There's a lot of good tag teams. Like it's hard to, it was actually hard to get to 5, but
Yeah, that's why I was like the tag team division in ECW deserves their own show. In our opinion.
And like I said, a lot of their styles really translated to the main promotions. Really took note, like you could tell in that time frame, especially with the Dudley Boys. But
all right, the person who's probably going to do the Arkansas nose pull on Dijak in a couple of months. Plogo, we will let you in on that joke here in just a second, sir. But who would you say is top 5 ECW tag team champions of all time?
Dudleys, Eliminators, Public Enemy, Whipwreck and Tajiri,
Oh,
That's a good one.
and for shits and giggles, Danny Doring and Roadkill.
hey, hang on. Speaking of Roadkill, doesn't Just Tan Credible look like the illegitimate child of Roadkill?
A little
I'm like
bit.
the bastard love child of Danny Doring and Roadkill.
All right. You know what? Last but certainly not least, Professor Bear. Top 5 ECW tag team champions in your mind.
In no particular order. Got to throw the Gangsters because I got to meet them and have a conversation with them. Oh my God. They were 2 of the coolest people ever. And you think original tag team, you got to think of the Public Enemy. Then, of course, the Dudleys. If you don't say the Dudleys in tag team, then you might as well just get off the show. The Eliminators. Oh my God! If they would have actually liked each other, you could imagine what they could have damage they could have caused in tag team wrestling.
Oh yeah.
But number 5, I definitely have to say Rob Van Dam and Sabu.
No, those are definitely great picks. I love how everybody is like, well, I mean, you can't have this one without this one and this
Yeah.
one without this one. So all great picks, gentlemen. Very, very good. So with that being said, just Incredible, would you like to help me? We're 15 minutes in. Would you like to go ahead and segue to the next portion of our sponsorships?
Sure. Follow that QR code. It'll take you straight to the Joe Monroe shop. Get a Joe Monroe Show t-shirt. Get a Till 5 Wrestling t-shirt. Definitely get more Till 5 t-shirts than Joe Monroe Show.
Hey, jerk. Okay, I'm taking the QR code away right now, and tell them about SeatGeek.
So SeatGeek, we have a sponsor, SeatGeek. They're one of our newest sponsors. Use promo code Jeff the Ruck to get $20 off your first purchase. I personally use SeatGeek. I think they're awesome. Hell of a lot better than Ticketmaster.
Watch your language, little lady.
Sorry about
All
that.
All right, and why don't you tell them what the Eldridge and Monroe show's got going on in October? Where are we going to be at again?
The Eldridge and Monroe Show, we're heading to Scarefest in October, the 18th through the 20th. Those guys are making some waves very quickly on Mondays for the Eldridge and Monroe Show, and it's really exciting that they get to go to Scarefest this year. So keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that not so lovely segue there. Also, I'm going to start a little bit of a something for independent wrestling promotions. It don't have to necessarily be like Triple Crown Wrestling, Ultimate Championship Wrestling. It can be any and all independent wrestling promotions that are going to be doing shows this weekend. I know this weekend they got a pretty big memorial show up in Jeffersonville, Indiana for Big Country. It's the Big Country Forever Travis Pittman Memorial Show. There's two companies, DPW and Traditional Championship Wrestling, putting that on. It looks like a pretty good event, even though there's one event with Rick Gunner going up against Austin Diamond. I flat out don't get why Austin Diamond gets a heavyweight title shot. I don't think he even weighs enough to be a heavyweight.
I get it.
That's because I'm not booked.
Oh, okay. That's great. No, I would probably say, if James Kendrick was to chop Austin Diamond would be would probably be no more. Let's see. Let's go here. Just hello. How are you
Hello,
doing today?
that's my wife.
Oh, that is okay.
What's up, honey?
Landon, Joe kind of looks like Hornswoggle.
You're damn right. That's right.
Now, if there's a person that I would like to see become an would have become an ECW champion at some point, it would have been Hornswoggle for sure.
Let's see. Kirkpatrick says there was also going to be Kirkpatrick versus Goldberg. I mean, Joker Jones. That's a no contest right there. Kirkpatrick's going to kick his teeth down his throat with that mullet power. So, James, do you got anything going on this weekend wrestling wise, sir?
Nope, I have nothing.
Wow, free weekend for you. That's a first.
Yes. College football.
Oh yeah.
God,
That's right.
Heck yeah.
College football. Well, all right, fine. Go ahead and do your breaking news, Tanner. Good Lord, I hate that picture. You said something about JBL and AAA earlier?
So, it turns out that, I don't know if you guys saw or not, but the world famous John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, turned up at the AAA Triple Mania last weekend with Nick Nemeth. And it turns out, according to reports, that JBL has bought stake into AAA. Very interesting, unexpected move.
Sorry for laughing.
It's the most ironic move in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Especially the immigration stuff he did with Eddie.
Yeah.
I was about to say, so he's going to go down there and bully everybody until they quit.
I mean, he's not going to Jack Perry. Oh, sorry. CM. No, dang it. I can't say that either. Sorry, guys. That was more for someone else. Thanks, Joe, for the plug. No problem. And the power of the mullet. Yes, he shares the mullet power with one half of the Rock and Roll Express. But if you don't go watch wrestling, if you don't follow any of our shows, whether it be the Wrestling Society Network, Plogo's show, my show, or heck, even Till 5 Wrestling, we'll send James Kendricks to your house so you can get one of these lovely things from him. It will leave an impression on you, some say.
Jeez.
But let's go ahead and let's get back into the questions, folks. So we got a couple more slides here. First and foremost, let's see what we got. Oh, here we go. Who is the most recognizable teams from ECW? I mean, Dudley's obviously. That's an obvious choice. I would probably also say the Public Enemy because they did multiple promotions, the WWF and WCW. And probably, dare I say, the FBI? I don't know. What do you all think? Just Han, you're going to go last. Professor, we'll go ahead and put you second here, sir. Who would you say is the most recognizable tag teams from ECW?
Of course, the Dudleys. I think also when you think ECW, you immediately go to the Gangsters. You also immediately think of the Eliminators and Public Enemy. Any of those four, even the time where half of the Gangsters and the Eliminators teamed up and won the tag titles. I mean,
No, that is true. Mr. Kendrick, who would you say?
Dudley's. Probably Storm Incredible. Maybe Public Enemy. Even though their WWE run didn't last very long. At all.
We talked about JBL earlier. I mean,
Well, they kind of brought it on themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe the FBI on the indie scene. Because they didn't really do too much in WWE or WCW.
no,
But Little Guido and Mama Luke, they killed it on the indie scene.
Oh, absolutely. All right. No, you're going to go last. Plogo.
So, just not to repeat what everybody's already said, because like I said, I think it's easy. It's Dudley Boys. Like I said earlier, I think it starts and ends with them. But maybe like Raven and the Sandman. I'm sorry. Raven and Dreamer won it. Raven and Richard. So maybe Raven just as a singles guy in the tag division, killing it. Pretty recognizable there. I'm surprised I didn't see more Raven tag teams, but hey, he has two good ones. So I'll go with that just to be a little off the beaten path, because I think we could talk all day about the top few that we've already discussed.
No, that's the original incarnation of Raven's Flock. Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, I mean, that whole iteration, like without that, man, who knows what ECW would look like. Raven was killer back then. Raven's underrated. He deserves more flowers, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, we may eventually get to an individual show about Raven. All right, just 10, not so credible. Who would you like to?
Very unprofessional, Joe Monroe. I might have to contact Shane Romines again and see what we can do about this unprofessionalism on your show. But as far as recognizable tag teams, come on, it's the Dudley Boys. But if you had to have another one, one that nobody mentioned is the Blue World Order. I think the BWO is an interesting pick. When you think ECW, you think, I mean, I think the BWO, I think that was one of the coolest parody gimmicks ever.
That's a good shout.
Oh, that is a good shout.
Super good shout.
I did not think about that one. That's very good, Justin. Maybe you might be credible after all.
Thinking better than you on your own show, Joe, as usual.
You want to shut up and bite me, Paperboy. Okay, Kurt Patrick said the Pit Bulls. Wow, that's one tag team we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
The Pit Bulls.
Definitely underrated.
Way underrated. Way underrated. All right, so we're going to do last question. This is going to be a pretty short show tonight. Let's see. Speaking of underrated, most underrated. Ooh. Just 10 since I've been giving you crap all night.
Well, I guess this would be a perfect Sorry, go ahead.
And it sounds like, ATB may be at your house because your dog's barking, but go ahead.
Well, I hope not. That would be a really unfortunate thing to happen tonight. Love you, Notorious ATB. Hope you're watching. I guess now would be a perfect time to talk about the Pitbulls. As far as the most underrated tag team, they might even be the most underrated tag team in wrestling. And then there's a couple other. There's a team that we talked about earlier tonight that you seem to have a problem with, the Can-Am Express, being very, very, very underrated. You could talk about PG-13 being a very underrated tag team. So there you go.
All right, okay, good choices. Plogo, who would you say?
The Suicide Suicide Blondes. So nobody's talking about them. They got a couple tag team championship runs in their belt. Chris Candido is fantastic. I'm surprised we haven't talked more about him in this tag team run. That would be just the one that I'm trying to go with, something we haven't talked about yet, throwing some other names in the mix. That would be one for sure. And then, of course, I'm going to go with Cactus Jack by Whipwreck, just because I'm going to shout them out forever. But I think everybody knows them. I think they're properly rated. That's just me throwing it in there for fun. But yeah, that's how I'll go. I'll go the Suicide Blondes, man. That was a good tag team.
All right, let's see. Professor, who would you say?
Mikey
Underrated
Whipwreck and and Tajiri.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that tag team. They were so underrated, and the matches between them and Dorian and oh God, I can't think his name. We talked about him once. Roadkill. Man, they had some killer matches, and I thought they could have went further, but after ECW died, they died, which is such a damn shame. But those are two right off the top of my head.
All right. Last but very least, James Kendrick, who would you say most underrated?
Chris Chetty and Supernova.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Or the Baldies. I mean, they had a lot of tag teams, and a few had great runs and some didn't. But my all-time favorite will always be either underrated, Can-Am Express, Doring, Roadkill, Whipwreck, Tajiri. So the other ones, yeah. Dudley's, they are the only tag team to ever make it big. Public Enemy, yeah, not so much. New Jack made it big on his own, more than he did with
Mustafa.
That's it. Had a brain fart. I mean, yeah, just those teams. Not so much the other ones. I like the underrated ones better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, yeah, that's all the questions I have. Now, do you all have any questions about ECW tag teams, or is there something you want to discuss about
Yes,
ECW tag teams?
I'm actually glad you asked that, because I was going to talk about talking about how underrated their tag team division was. Think about some of the great tag teams that came in and wrestled, like the Steiner brothers actually did. I think it was 3 shows. Doc and Gordy.
Yep.
Man, them against the Eliminators were killer, but you could tell Gordy was not himself, because after that incident on the plane, he was just not himself. But they still had killer matches. When the time Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton showed up, and they were on different teams. I mean, the ECW had a lot of great tag teams, and just I don't know why it's so underrated about their tag team division.
It's way overlooked. I agree. Just 10, did you have something you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I
sir?
was actually going to talk about the same thing that Professor Bear just did. He beat me to it. The Miracle Violence connection. Doc and Gordy, man. What a great, great, great team. And one you didn't name that came in for a couple matches was Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki.
Yep.
I mean, good God, man. Those guys could work.
You and your Japanese wrestling, you love it so much.
Dick Togo.
That's right, dude. Jado and Ghetto was also
Oh,
in ECW.
You know why it gets overrated though and overlooked as a division is because of all the other stuff that goes on with DCW. That's not the thing that they present when you watch those documentaries or look back on it fondly. That it's unfortunate, but that's just the case. They had some really good wrestling in that promotion, but a lot of the other stuff kind of masks it.
No, you bring up a good point. Why wouldn't they do it? Because even Paul Heyman in like outside interviews praises the tag division, just as much as he praises, the individual stuff he came up with. But why it wasn't featured on documentaries, maybe he did discuss it and it just got cut.
Because stabbing people sells more tickets.
well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Their violence.
Yeah,
Because anytime you bring up the word ECW, what's the first immediate thing come to your mind?
The crucifixion of Sandman.
Violence. Controversial. That's the thing. And they don't get the praise for because let's be honest, they're bringing in of the cruiserweights.
Yep.
Is what sparked WCW to have a great cruiserweight division. And nobody ever talks about it because, again, ECW is violence. What violent thing happened? Well, New Jack threw a guy off the balcony.
The scaffold tried to kill him.
That was just.
I was trying to miss the ring. I think is what he said.
Yeah, that's what
I'm not
he said.
mistaken. So yeah, that really awesome 5-star tag match that you had 2 matches before that moment gets overlooked a little bit. Just throwing it out there.
Well, can we say a honorable mention for worst tag team, Devon Dudley and Mass Transit?
Honorable mention for best tag team, Al Snow and Head.
Right.
Oh my
Hey,
god!
Head never took a pin, so I
That's
agree
right.
with that.
Let's see. James says hello. Referee James Adams in the house. Kirkpatrick also says, please don't forget the Gangsters had a great run in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. That is true.
That's where I met them and had one of the greatest conversations with wrestlers I've ever had. New Jack was so cool. We stood and talked. Well, it was after a Smoky Mountain event at the fair. We stood and talked for 2 hours, and they were just so laid back. This is before New Jack got on drugs. He like, I don't do drugs, but I drink like hell. Come on, let's go get a drink. I'm like, nah, bro, I don't drink, so I appreciate the offer.
So they say New Jack may not have been smoking, but Mustafa was smoking some crazy stuff.
Man.
New Jack, so.
And the funny thing about Mustafa, I was like, okay, this is your gimmick. You're going to talk. Never damn said a word.
Oh, man. Well, gentlemen and Tanner, let's go ahead. I'm going to individually get you guys up here and just tell me what in the world is going on with either your show or your life. James, we'll start with you first, sir. What do you got coming up? I know you got a Triple Crown show coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. I got one coming up. I'm going against Ethan Heyer again.
Hopefully
Last
he don't bring down the house this time in Ferguson, because last time he was, he brought literally the whole curtain down.
Not to toot my own horn, but the last show with me and Ethan, we stole the whole show. nobody could touch that match. See, I got that. I think it's a Monticello or Ferguson. I don't
Ferguson.
remember. See what else. I'll be heading back up to Nebo in October. Then November, I will be going to New Albany, Indiana, to go against Donovan Dijak.
Don't forget the Arkansas Nose Bowl. We are going to try to be there, and Notorious ATB is saying if he don't see an Arkansas Nose Bowl, he will apply it on you. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't probably put it past him. to
I'll
try.
just throw something at him. I don't care. Uh, then after that, might be finishing up the rest of the year with Monticello and Ferguson. I'm not 100% sure.
So
So
to be announced.
yeah.
Right.
And wherever else I decide to go, cause chaos.
Indeed, you do that the best. Indeed, you do. Plogo, good sir. This is your first time. Go ahead and tell the folks what you do. I know you're on TikTok. You're killing it over there. That's why I call you a TikTok star. So go ahead and tell the fine folks.
I appreciate that. But I am Pluggo, as he had mentioned. You can find me at Pluggo on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. on Love Wrestling CA on YouTube with my good buddy JPJ. We do a show called Between Two Beards every Thursday night at 8 p.m. This Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be doing my independent wrestling show called For Exposure with my buddy Blair Pacheco of the Grainmaker Project, or podcast. We'll be breaking down LPW's 29 and much, much more. The big GCW weekend this way. And that's where you can find me. You can find me also. I do writing, so you can find my writing over at lovewrestling.ca. All my stuff right now. I have interviews up with Bailey, Gunther, Baron Corbin, DIY from SummerSlam weekend. So go check that out. That's all on Love Wrestling CA on YouTube. And like he said, I'm on TikTok. I don't know if I'm a big TikTok star, but I try. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem at all. Professor Bear, I know you guys got a big announcement tonight for the WSN, the Wrestling Society Network. Other than that, what do you got going on, sir?
Man, I'm just trying to heal back up, get my voice back in line. I didn't know when you had back surgery, they would mess up your voice too. But anyway, getting ready to, I'm starting to get healthier and try to start my podcast tour number 3 to just promote us, get our wrestling out there, our website, and a couple other nice surprises and things we're working on. Just keep the grind up and to keep supporting independent wrestling, man. That's what we do and that's what we love.
All right, let's see. Before we get to Just 10, Kurt Patrick is asking, is Nebo drawing anybody, James? Because last time he worked there, it wasn't drawing good at all.
Last show we had, and it's a small building, we had 75 plus, which isn't bad for that building. Not bad. At the beginning, it didn't have much, but now it's starting to pick up a little bit more.
No, all right. That's great. That's great. All right, dear God. Just 10 Credible. You guys are about to hit your very first episode of Till 5 Wrestling, which is what, next week?
We are about 1 week out from the first episode of Till 5 Wrestling. We will be filming, and there'll be more details on that on our Facebook page. You can follow us at Till 5 Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. But more importantly than any of that, I'm trying to find somebody right now. And that man's name is Dave, who may or may not be Joe Monroe. We haven't quite figured that out yet.
It's not me.
I'll just say this. I'm on to you, Dave, whoever you are, and we'll see how far this gets.
just make sure to get some sleep, buddy, because it looks like you haven't slept in days.
I have not slept in days. I've been on the hunt for Dave. This bullshit has to end. This tyranny of podcasting from Dave and Joe Monroe have to end.
What have I been a tyrant about?
Because you hired a guy named Dave, and now you all of a sudden don't know who he is, and he's throwing out suspensions like Oprah Winfrey throwing out gifts at her show.
I mean, again, I didn't know he did that. I invited you on anyways, and you said, no, it's fine. Never mind. It's fine, Joe.
The name of the show is the Joe Monroe Show. So if there is some nefarious figure making decisions for the Joe Monroe Show, then I think you might want to get your house in order, my friend.
That's why Dave has been fired.
Okay.
So there you go.
We'll discuss more of that off air. I'll come back next week with some more information.
Not that I have any dog in the fight, but it's a lot of people that's coming at Joe the wrong way. And I can't just let my buddy Joe go out there and get ganged up like he dusty against a horseman. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna bring some violence, you just got to be sure a bear might be around the corner.
Professor Bear, I respect you a lot. I think that you should watch your back hanging with Joe Monroe, or you just might get suspended before you even know it. I'm sorry, Dave. Dave will suspend you.
Well, Dave's no longer here, man. All right, chill out.
You are a tool, Joe Monroe. Dave's not here, man. Dave's not here.
I'm a tool. Do we need to discuss your broadcast partner who hates women's wrestling?
I fully support women's wrestling. Just for
I
the
know
sake of
you
the show.
do. Your partner hates women's wrestling for some odd reason.
He's misunderstood, guys. ATB is misunderstood. You know, I used to be anti-ATB too until I realized the tyranny of Joe Monroe. And then I thought, maybe my co-host might be right. But not about women's wrestling.
This is also the co-host that thinks Austin Diamond is the next big thing. And boy, is he wrong with that one. Ask James Kendrick.
I was gonna say now, I definitely understand you defending your co-host, but man, for anybody to tear up a signed autograph, man, you a little shaky to me. That's all I'm gonna say.
A signed autograph of little
in this economy, you're tearing up signed autographs.
I don't condone the autograph tearings, the disrespect of women's wrestling. What ATB and I are on the same page is changing this game, and it starts right here at the head of the Joe Monroe Show. We're here to take over, and it's as simple as that. And if you have any issue with that, then you'll be hearing from Mr. Shane Romines, our attorney at law, and we'll see about your legal obligation. You signed a contract, Joe. You asked for this.
What contract? There's
You'll
no
see.
Contract.
Dave signed the contract. He forged my name.
That wasn't my signature. That looked like a 5-year-old signed it.
I mean, come on. But you know what?
I've seen your handwriting, Joe.
James not helping. But no, why would I? No, here's the story. I invited you guys on about, let's say, probably 2 months ago now to come and sponsor, shout out your show that you have coming up, because I know you guys can do a hell of a show. But now you're starting this tyranny bullcrap. I told you last week that I think Mr. Notorious ATB and Dave may be one and the same, or they're in cahoots with each other. That's just what I'm thinking. That's why Dave has since been fired, and that's why I'm happy to have you back on the show this week.
If you fired Dave, then tell me right now, live on the air, why you couldn't put me in contact with Dave.
I gave you Dave's contact information.
Where is he? Where's Dave?
I don't know.
What are you hiding, Joe Monroe?
I'm not hiding anything.
There's some skeletons in your closet. Maybe the skeleton of Dave.
I mean, at this point, it's about to be.
I mean, this is a complete joke. Just be professional. I came on your show as a consummate professional, representing my soon-to-be show, and you just disrespect Till 5 Wrestling. You disrespect me and ATB by dishing out suspensions with your scapegoat Dave.
Hold on. Wait just a damn minute. You want to talk about disrespect? Let's talk about the disrespectful video your buddy put out that wants to keep reminding me of why I have a dent in my head thanks to some little shit named Austin Diamond. Let's see. You know what? Honestly, let's look at the big picture here. Ever since ATV and me have had some kind of disagreement because of women's wrestling, he started siding with Austin Diamond a lot more. So, what's going on here? Is it me, or is it you guys getting influenced by some dumb wannabe Eminem 3-count mismembered? I don't know what the hell he is. All I know is he's a chicken shit. He doesn't respect the sport of professional wrestling like me and James Kedrick does. And to be completely honest with you, if it was up to me again, I'd chop the soul out of his body just to see him go away.
Joe Monroe, how can you say that about a man that pinned your shoulders to the mat?
He didn't pin me. He got disqualified.
Hey, you know what? We're going to count it, dude. A kendo stick to the head changed the person you are, Joe. And the fact is that diamonds are forever, Joe, and maybe you're not. Maybe you're not.
Okay, what are you going to say next? You had something to do with that video too, huh?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely had everything to do with the video. I edited the video. I got the clips together, and I sent it to my tag team partner in the world's greatest pod team, Notorious ATB, and we got it going. And then the video was presented to Hill 5 Wrestling. Without doing your research, you blame ATB, and I'm the man on the show that's telling you that I worked more on that than ATB. I'm taking the shots as well, and we are sick of this shit until you bring me Dave.
Fine. You want
That's all I want, Joe. That's all I want.
I'll tell you what. I will bring you proof of Dave Sunday, but I better get an apology specifically from you.
Oh, I'll do an apology for you, but I want Dave. Sunday, Dave.
All right, fine.
You have 48 hours. You bring me
proof
Dave.
of Dave. Gentlemen, Professor Plogo, James, I'm sorry. Legally, if I didn't have him, had to have him on this show, he'd been off already. But I don't want to get sued by some in pain cult, whatever the hell he is. So, all right. With that being said, okay, looks like we got some comments here. Logan Drake says 75 in a small building is always good atmosphere. I've really enjoyed working in places with crowds like that. Yeah, says the Queen Logan Drake. Anyways, folks, thank you all for tuning in. Gentlemen, thank you all for coming on and enjoying this, except for Just Incredible. Folks, I am Joe Monroe, the Joe Monroe Show. Thank you all, and we will see you next Friday for another great episode of the History of Pro Wrestling, where we're going to talk about none other than the legendary Scott Hall. So tune in next week, and we will talk about Scott Hall. Until next time, folks, thank you all so much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And always, always support the crazy sport of professional wrestling. 10 State.